What's your position with NATO? Where are you at with NATO? Because
NATO's dead.
You think NATO's dead?
NATO's dead. We're writing its obituary.
Goat Talk, Robert Pape talking to Patrick Bet-David. Love to hear it. Let's hear what Robert Pape has to say.
Tell me why.
Bro, what the hell happened? I feel like University of Chicago, that created the Chicago Boys, that was like the heart of American interventionism, is now responsible for Mersheimer and Robert Pape. They're like all talking about how NATO is over. What the hell happened to the University of Chicago? How did they fall from grace like this? Marxist coup? Yeah, none of these guys are Marxists. What are you talking about? They're all like saying Mersheimer is a Marxist is so funny.
First thing people need to know about NATO is it's not just a political alliance. It is a political alliance where leaders get together and we have Brussels and so forth, but it's more. We have a thing that your listeners will hear called Article 5. Okay, we decide we're going to fight together in a war. Much more than that. Article 5 says that when you agree with Article 5, there will be an, quote, integrated command structure. What does integrated command structure mean? An American general runs the militaries of all the other NATO countries. Like World War II with Eisenhower, 5-star general. So just pause for it. See, notice how this changes your thinking, okay? So Article 5 is not just, oh, now we're going to fight together and then sort out the command lines of authority. No. Article 5 is, once we agree, and we've only done this with Afghanistan. That's the one time we've done Article 5. It means that an American general, now we could second it. We can make a decision, just so you know, that let another general do it. But it would be, the idea was American general is going to make the key decisions and sort out the roles and missions for everybody. Because if you don't have a SINC, a commander-in-chief in a theater, that's what a SINC is, commander-in-chief, everybody's going to not know their piece of what they're supposed to do, their geographic location. All of that needs to be sorted out, or you can't efficiently fight, and you'll have a lot of friendly fire casualty and all kinds of other problems here. So you need an integrated command structure if you're going to have what's called a combined set of militaries, where you have militaries from other countries coming together. Well, that was the beauty of NATO, which is we run the show, not just as we're the biggest, 800-pound gorilla on the planet. Well, now what you've had, not just last year we had Trump tariffs hurting different countries, something very different happened with Iran. What happened with Iran is that when President Trump failed strategically, tactically succeeded but failed strategically, what did he say? He wanted the European militaries to send the militaries and because we weren't going to put our ships in harm's way. Think about that. This is too dangerous for our ships to go into harm's way. And what he said is he wanted them to put their ships in harm's way. Once you did that, I think there is no way that any European political leader or a military leader is going to essentially follow orders under Article 5 by General Kane. So what Article 5 would mean, again, that is an American commanders who are going to be running the show, essentially, here. And what happened with this war is we've shown that by the lack of strategy, by the disastrous way this has unfolded. And then on top of all that, Patrick, for President Trump to say, we want you to throw your bodies in front of our bodies, this isn't going to work. And I am not at all surprised that what you see is Stormer, that's the leader in Britain here, Carney. You are seeing so much.
You're saying it from your angle, because we also led the way. We led from front. We gave all this money to protect Ukraine because they treated them like a NATO ally. And so Trump probably used it as a way to show the world, look at these guys. They don't even pay their 2%, and I've been able to increase it from 3 in 2014 to now 32. But the messaging is important.
And he did that.
But the point is, all of this stuff we do for them and they don't do nothing for us, exposed to the world. Now why do we need to be part of NATO?
Dude, come on. Patrick Bet-David. Okay, what is Robert Pape going to say to that? That's ridiculous. All the stuff that we're doing for NATO. All the stuff that we're doing for NATO and they do nothing for us. Why don't we grok it? Why don't we grok it? Robert Pape, you are a professor, but why don't we grok it right now? Okay, I'm a numbers guy. We need to see the numbers. Your Patrick David is so bad. No.
Let me come at this from a little different perspective. So first of all, President Trump, start in the first term. That's mostly what that rhetoric was from. He did move them from 2% to now the average is near 3, and it's going to soon be 3.5. That part is not really what that's true, and it was the first term.
Only 3 were paying 2%, now it's 32.
Exactly. That's first term President Trump. So that all came from.
Yeah, you know who actually wanted that to happen, by the way? Barack Obama. And that's precisely the reason why Joe Biden never reversed that decision. Okay, the idea that this is not also uniparty is very silly. I don't like that. It's a lie that we tell ourselves and to whoever is listening that this was like done just by Donald Trump. When Donald Trump came out and said that, everyone in the media was like, "Oh my God, they're trying to destroy NATO." It's like, well, okay, Barack Obama was the one who actually advanced that
from the first term of President Trump. But let me tell you a set of data that you don't hear in this regard very much, by the Democrats either, which is what matters for power in the world is your economy is so critical because it generates the money and the technology and the resources for your military and your actual military. In 1990, when the Cold War ended, America's economy was 26% of the world's economy. Write it down. 26% of the world's economy. 1990.
I'm a numbers guy, so I like what you're saying. You're giving me the numbers. You are giving me the numbers. I'm a numbers guy. I'm going to grok it. I'm going to grok it. Robert Pape, I'm going to grok it. Beanie, get the numbers out.
Bank numbers, these are all verified, okay? What is it today?
15?
No, 26, 27%. 2025 numbers. Look at our European allies during this time. Let's pick Germany, for example. Germany was about 6-7% of the world's economy
6-7
in 1990. What are they today? 3.5. 3.5. What about Britain? Britain was about 4.5% of the world's economy in 1990. What are they today? 3. France, almost exactly with Britain, 4.5 to about 3.
100% correct, by the way. Everything he's saying is facts. All facts, no printer. America's positioning has not grown, which is obviously bad for America. But every other ally has diminished in the global stage. Europe has diminished the global stage. Japan has diminished spectacularly in the global stage. The only other country that has grown phenomenally in this process is China. That's it.
I could go through Italy. So what does that mean, Patrick? If you take power...
I'm really curious what you think, because I'm wondering
I'm trying to show you the power here. In 1990, compared to our European allies here, okay, we were certainly big, but notice they weren't trivial, certainly as a group.
Sure.
But as we stayed at 26, they've fallen by a third. They've fallen by a third, Patrick. So the way I put it to my classes sometimes, I lay this out for them, and I say, yeah, we say we're Uncle Sucker, but who's the sucker here? Who's the real sucker here? See, what I understand President Trump saying...
Patrick Bet-David is listening to Robert Pape describe that America has basically sucked up all of the resources from its allies around the globe, as it's basically been able to maintain its position. And Patrick Bet-David will turn around and tomorrow still continue the narrative like, oh, we are not getting anything from the partners.
He just looks at this statistic about who's paying for defense. And he's right on the numbers. This is not a mistake of numbers. It's not that President Trump's getting his numbers wrong. But there's a businessman, if you're up against companies here, if you're one of the big mega companies here and you're 26% of the market and your competitor is here at like 7-8% of the market, and you stay at 26 and they go to 4, who's got the power here? Who's gaining power here? We're gaining power. I'm very concerned that what's going to happen in the next 5-10 years is we'll go from 26 to 22 to 23%, something like that. Other countries, and I'm mostly worried about China, are just going to eat our lunch, and then maybe even the Europeans will start to get their act together and start to become economically stronger. Now, I'm not saying they will for sure, but we have not had our lunch eaten from us here since the end of the Cold War. And this is over 30 years. So this isn't just a yearly thing. So I really believe that we are not using, I keep trying to explain, we're focusing on issues of tactics. We're not focusing on the bigger picture numbers here, the bigger picture outcomes that matter for America's. Another point I want to make, and what does Bob believe? I want us to be 26%. I want us to be 30%. I don't want us going down. So when we had our big conversation,
Yeah, they said this guy's a Marxist.
about China, I'm looking at this number. I'm looking at we're pulling ourselves and hurting ourselves with trade. And I'm not coming at this as some liberal normative, let's make other people richer or something. No, that's not it at all. I'm looking at this from essentially a primacy lens. I'm looking at this, how does America remain the number one most powerful, wealthiest country in the world for the next 20 years? And I think we need to understand that we have actually had quite a set of advantages versus Western Europe and also Japan. You know what Japan was in 1990? 10%. Japan was 10% in 1990. You look at Japan today, they're 4%. So just think about that for a moment.
Where does China go from? China?
Oh, China went from in 1990, 2 to 17.
Okay.
2 to 17.
See, that's the one that matters to me.
Well, no, yes, but the whole thing needs to matter to you is what I'm telling you, because you want us to be not just bigger, badder than China. You want us to be the biggest, baddest, richest here, 26%. That's what's made America the place to come, to be the golden goose, the place to come for entrepreneurs here. If we
Ain't nobody
Britain,
waking up in the morning going to China. Ain't nobody waking up
I'm
every
not
morning
worrying
going
about
to
them going
Europe.
to China.
Yeah.
I'm worrying about that over time we are going to lose this. And I think what we need to do is understand that we've actually made out quite well versus the Western Europeans and also Japan. They're not eating our lunch.
Okay, so what do you think about the chances of U.S. leaving NATO under Trump?
Oh, he just announced, well, so just in the last 72 hours. So I've been saying NATO has been dead for about 3 weeks now. So I've been on a lot of these podcasts and so forth. And other people have asked me about this too. So I've said NATO's dead. We're writing its obituary. That line has been out there for 3 weeks. Well, what just happened here this week on Monday is Merz, the leader of Germany, has come out vigorously. And he's slapping Trump right in the face, saying that Iran has humiliated America. And then on top of that, if you look at the papers, and I looked at the actual documents that come out of the governments, not just simply the, what's out on 30-second TikToks here, they've come out with a new strategy, Patrick. And their new strategy.
This one right here.
Yeah, this is the
Play
one.
the clip, Rob.
They let them travel to Islamabad and then leave again without any result. The whole nation is being humiliated by the Iranian leadership, especially by these.
We did the AI. We did the AI translation. We grokked it. Okay. This is Merz, a very good guy. I like him.
So-called revolutionary guards. And in that respect,
That's the clip.
Americans may not want to hear.
Only 26K, and it's an echo chamber. That's insane, bud. Yo, dog, this chat has all the same opinion. Is an echo chamber. 42 month subscriber. Brother, you're the one who's echoing back. What happened? You want It's Saturday. I'm sorry. I'm baiting. Happy Saturday. Yeah. What happened? You wanna attention? Is that what it is? I swear to God, people getting bored and they're like, people get so bored and then just like, I really want Hasan to notice me, please, bro. If you want to notice me, say something like, "Oh, I love your Patrick Bet David impersonation." You know what I mean? Like. Or give me something good. Give me something good to read. What is this cheap bait? It's the only way to get noticed? No, that's not the only way to get noticed.
That, and I'm an American, and that
He's needy, not a liar. That's crazy.
that hurts me to hear that. But we need to understand that's not unique. Macron thinks that. Starmer thinks that. That's the leader of France and Britain. Carney thinks that. That's the leader of Canada.
They're all
Undoubtedly,
all of them
she-
are globalists.
Undoubtedly, she thinks that. If you look at the smiles on Putin's face, so Putin just met with.
Are you surprised they're saying that? Because I'm not.
No, I'm telling you that the world has learned.
I've never seen two guys talk, two intellectual titans, talk over one another this hard, okay? They're just talking past one another. Robert Pape is just like describing exactly what's going on, and Patrick Bet-David is just trying to slam his perspective into the conversation. They're all globalists. Dude, we are America. We are the globalists, okay? We are the globe. What the are you talking about? What is this globalism? It's just like a idiotic distinction that the American right wing has slammed on here for some weird reason. We have 800 military bases around the world. What the do you mean they are the globalists, but we're not the globalists? What the
Which they had not known since Vietnam, is that America can be beat. That's what I'm telling you. Now, when we had the Vietnam War, this was a material disaster, but it was a disaster for our power beyond simply the material consequences.
Yo, I missed the Patrick impersonation. Is there any way to rewind? Great question, chatter. Of course you can rewind as long as you subscribe for $6 a month or for free. If you like being value-tained at the only Patrick Bet-David broadcast, the only real Patrick Bet-David broadcast, if you like it, if you like the valuetainment, please subscribe. Support independent media, okay? Support independent media. You subscribe, all of a sudden, you get a lot of good benefits. You get benefits like being able to rewind the broadcast. You get to send me links as well. That's right. You can also gift a sub to others so they can also rewind the broadcast. The value is endless. The value is unlimited. You can also get my, you know what? You can get my attention if you subscribe. How about that? Butterstains, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. I hope you are value-tained. Thank you. I'm so impressed with your ability to do so many accents. That's what I'm talking about, dude. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. This is what I needed. This is desperately what I needed. Science is a candle in the dark. Thank you for the 10. Step Up, thank you for the 5 gifted. Christian M503, thank you for the 5 gifted subs as well. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs as well.
What happened in Vietnam, because that small country beat us. In fact, what started me on my quest to understand air power as a dissertation topic in the 1980s, I wanted to know how we could lose to such a small country. I was going to go into the Foreign Service. I was going to become in the Reagan administration, I was going to go get a PhD. And, you know, I told you, a liberal Republican. Reagan's basically a liberal Republican. He might not admit it, but he is. And I was going to go and try to spread democracy here. But I wanted to know, if I'm going to do this, how did we lose? Because after all, I don't want to lose here. That's not the point. So, but what you saw then is the military, not just the Reagan administration, we upended ourselves in the military. That school that I taught at the Air Force, it was a brand new school. Started in 1991 by Larry Welch, Chief of Staff of the Air Force, and he told me, and other 4-star generals directly told me, because they wanted to fix the problem they saw in Vietnam is airmen did not know air strategy. And I was being hired because my book, my work, the only...
Did you download Mint Distro? You really need to move from Capital's operation systems feeding imperialism. I'm poor. I haven't even heated my pool this summer.
They wanted some civilians. Well, they couldn't find any who studied air strategy. And I'm the one who actually came closest to thinking about strategy the way it should be understood, which is not how to put a bomb on a target, but what happens when bombs hit targets to the politics of the situation. And so we were in lockstep here at that point in time. What you are seeing here, though, is since Vietnam, we have not, we had Desert Storm, 1991. Yes, we've had other problems, but we haven't had a disaster.
You really disrespectful talking about Vietnam veterans. My uncle died fighting the American invaders. How dare you? I do respect the veterans on both sides.
Like this since Vietnam. And we haven't, and in Vietnam, America didn't do things that are wrecking the world's economy. So this could be even worse than Vietnam on that dimension. What you're seeing with these world leaders is They have learned America can be beat. Why is the UAE pulling out of OPEC? They don't want to be tethered to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, even though it's a collective, is the biggest one in OPEC, and they call most of the shots in OPEC. And they, as we know, MBS was on the phone right next to Netanyahu, encouraging Trump to do the regime change bombing. So if that's true, then you know that this Iranian regime, as it gets more powerful, they're coming they want to topple now the Saudi regime. Why are you in the UAE wanting to hitch your wagon to that? It's not that you want to have any love for Iran, but the last thing you want to do is get sunk by these groups over here.
You think that's why they left OPEC?
I don't know for sure. I have no deep knowledge, but I said on my Substack that as this was before they left OPEC, I said that what you're going to see is as Iran emerges as a far more powerful global player here, and it's just beginning, in the Gulf, what you're going to see is fragmentation. That you had unity, you had this with the Abraham Accords, you had Trump, and this was Jared Kushner's idea, really, from going back to the first Trump administration, where you're going to try to counterbalance Iran. Now, he didn't use that term, but that's basically what's happening here, what was happening. And so you're going to build a coalition where it's Israel, it's the UAE, it's Saudi Arabia. If you can bring in the other GCC countries, that's great. And that's what Trump's last May, you saw, he did a wide swing through the GCC countries. And what they're basically doing, among other things, is they're building a counterbalancing coalition against Iran. But as Iran grows, and especially as everybody sees what he is now articulating, Meretz is articulating, is that we can be beat. This is not going to hold together. You are not going to be able to keep this counterbalancing coalition together. And it's not because of, Trump's unique. It's because this is the pattern of history. This is going to fragment. And then I explained they would have different countries fragmenting in different ways. It wasn't going to be a
Pax Islamica is happening. Robert Pape confirmed it. Oh, Professor Jiang, my God.
Unison, everybody moved to Iran. It's fragmentation or atomization. And that's what's happening here. Iraq was actually the beginning.
HasanAbi, it's awfully impressive how you barely touch Patrick Bet-David's accent. Yet when you do, you play like you've been secretly studying for years. There's no buildup, no struggle. Just a subtle, efficient skill that even feels misplaced. Despite being extremely invested in valuetainment, you never stoop too low, which somehow makes it more impressive and slightly confusing to witness. You're not just good at valuetainment, you're gifted. God, I fucking hate ChatGPT so much. It's just, I hate it. I hate the way it speaks. I am becoming a full-blown Luddite, I think. I was thinking about this the other night. I was like, I feel like this is a new piece of technology that is like being utilized by so many people, and I probably have to understand it, and I probably have to use it. And basically the only time I touch any kind of like LLM, large language model, any kind of LLM whatsoever, any kind of AI whatsoever is like the top of the Google searches, right? Like that's it. And I don't know. I find it so gross, but I feel like I need to learn it, you know? Don't lie, the AI glaze made you wet.
Coming. Oh. You know why I'm always bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in the morning? Defunding Israel. That's the secret.
What is this game, bro? I don't understand. Like, why are this is the Nintendo game, right? Is it Tamagotchi or whatever? Tomodori, whatever it's called? Isn't that what it is? Why do they have so many like insane scenarios? I don't even understand. It's Animal Crossing with Mii's. Yeah, but like, is Sims but Nintendo? Okay, but like, why is it that they're saying such cool things about Israel?
Of this, as I point out in the Substack, they started to be far more critical of Americans. And what did Iran do? They started to let some Iraqi oil go through. So the more these countries are moving in, even Macron was making statements here that Iran found positive, and they let a French oil tanker through. And that's one of the reasons why Trump decided to do the blockade, because he doesn't want Iran feeling its oats and using its power in this way. But what you're seeing is, I believe, the beginning stages of what I was explaining would happen is fragmentation of the Gulf. It's not greater unity in the Gulf. It's because once everybody knows America can be beat, There's a power vacuum now in the Gulf. It's literally a power vacuum. And that power, and the states are going to respond on their own, for their own survival. They may make mistakes. They may do something good for their survival, but they're not going to simply listen to President Trump, Jared Kushner, and just simply say, oh, sure, we're just going to keep doing everything and following your lead. And with OPEC now, this is a real sign of disunity, and you see this in NATO here, and the idea, and you saw with Japan, President Trump browbeat the leader of Japan, and she would not budge. Well, they're only 4% of the world's GDP now. They're not 10% like they were. And why exactly are they throwing their bodies in front of this thing? What is they and their oil? Where is this idea that somehow we're going to? Japan is an island state. I studied this in World War II. They are an island state. They so much on that incoming oil. That's really one of the things that crushed.
Yeah. I mean, he literally did. His whole his main thesis, is like most famous work, is about air wars. So I believe it when he says that, except it's really funny where he goes, I studied Japan a lot and they really love oil, is such a funny way to talk about this issue. Cause it's like, I think you learned that in like third grade, where it's like, yeah, we put an oil blockade on Japan and they got so pissed off that they did in Pearl Harbor. Like, delivering the most basic fact about Japan that, like, you know, most of the illiterate Americans know, while you are genuinely one of the most studied guys on the Pacific theater, specifically because like his entire work revolves around air wars, is hilarious.
Japan in World War II is we had a naval blockade that really worked to crush their military. They're civilian, they didn't crush their morale, but it did weaken their military. Well, this is still true today with Japan.
When we set out to create
Japan,